You guys got some flack from that bit. What's his name?
Oh, BG Knockout?
BG Knockout?
Oh, yeah, I'm still fucking getting a little bit further because I got that one little email of the guy fucking...
Email?
Well, no, I got that little monito, the little cartoon. The little cartoon thing, right? Yeah, so somebody sent me that, so I put it up there. People are saying, oh, you're being negative. Oh, you're being this. You're being... And I just told the guy, I said, wait a minute, brother. We never disrespected the guy. We never called him any kind of derogatory names. You know, we just said what he said was absolutely wrong, and that was it. And they're saying, "Oh, you're being negative. You're going against like the positive movement." It's like, brother, you can't. Anytime you say something nowadays, they want to say
someone's gonna. Yeah, I mean, someone can twist it, or someone will get offended.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that's gonna happen.
And I try to tell them, you know, if you're gonna get offended by that, then you know what, you're in the wrong channel.
I mean, the thing is, the dude, I seen the video that Sonny was talking about.
You're right.
I can tell. We can tell right away, like what's going on. Sonny did have a point. I know you were trying to kind of.
Of course.
I see what you're, and that's good because you should do that so that people don't get the misconception. But I see where Sonny was going with it because the dude did say that, man. He was like, "It's because out there, bro, it's a whole nother trip, bro. Compton,
right?
They have their war with homies, whatever. So they kind of and they're gonna make themselves like they're up here,
right?
Nobody, that's what people are gonna do, bro. And I think that's what happened. He kind of like I forgot what they were talking about, but he kind of insinuated that I'm talking about the one you actually brought up to Sonny, where you told Sonny something about that he kind of, I forgot what the hell the topic was, but at first he didn't say nothing, and then later on he tried to like, oh no, we're actually we're actually kind of like not better,
right?
But it was kind of something like that, you know what I'm saying? I forget what it was, what the topic was, but you could tell there was like some animosity.
Oh no, but that's one thing that, and it goes for both races, man.
Yeah.
When you're when the older you get, especially in a gang world, let's say, the more animosity you have towards that race, man. So in other words, Sonny's 52 years old, so he definitely has some type of animosity towards black gang members. And that I think he's worked on a lot and kind of came down on it just because of his days in jail and prison. Exactly. You know how much racial it really was.
That's how it is, man. I didn't grow up with no blacks. I didn't know nothing. I started hitting the halls. You start getting down with them, you know what I mean. Then you get to the county, and then you start, you know what I mean, riots.
Yeah, it's like one war after another, and on the other side of that token, you got African American guys. They feel the same way, bro.
Yeah, they feel the same way.
The guys in their 50s really look at, and I think with that
dinosaurs.
Yeah, with that the dinosaurs. Yeah, with that BG knockout thing, it's more of bad information pushing forward. Because to me, that had to have been.
I never heard of that, bro. What you guys were discussing, that they think that. Cause come on, man.
Oh, I've heard that before. I've heard little notions of it before.
They should know, bro. I say we. I mean, I'm not in that no more. But you're not even really. But
no, not at all. But
we don't get down like that. If we'd get down with.
But it's the same thing. Like we would say that blacks in prison don't check any paperwork, and when I spent my whole life in there. From what I know, at a certain point. They didn't. Certain joints, I think they did. Well, let's see. But
180s, I think they did.
That's where it goes back to what you know. And like I asked Sonny, I said, well, do you know for a fact? He said, well, no.
No, I know for a fact that they didn't in certain places, and it was a certain time.
Right.
But
there was certain places that
certain joints they did, and they were actually, especially the Bloods, they were more like us, kind of. You know what I mean? They were more. Just organized, man.
A little more
militant, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's why when somebody like BG would say that about the raza down here in SoCal, that you can pretty much snitch on blacks, and it's fine. It's almost the same thing when if we would say all blacks don't check paperwork. It's not.
Yeah,
no,
that's not true. No.
But that also goes back.
It's like a blanket statement. It's like you can't just put them all in a category.
But that goes back to us not communicating with each other and knowing it because
you're not kicking it in there with them. You know what I mean? I knew because I had neighbors. And we wouldn't even talk about. I would talk about. Sometimes we talk about stuff like that.
Right.
They would be like, "Oh man, you guys are pretty, and we're trying to get like that. Like we you know what I mean. We check. You know what I mean. That's how I know.
Right.
It's not like I'm right there when they're doing it, but I know because they've told me, and I know how their get down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's to me is also like the point of this podcast. Certain episodes that we can actually have that conversation. And if there would be an African American guy who wants to come on and say his
That'd
thing,
be awesome,
I got no problem with it, brother. If you go back to my street gang interview, I saw it, and Alonzo was asking me, what do you want to do? I said eventually I want to get a round table and have a bunch of essays on one side, brothers on the other side, and hash it out and talk about our.
Bro, that was my kind of a goal when I started waking up. I guess I consider myself conscious,
right,
and this before, I mean, I used to read books and I used to read things about the Lord too, but I wasn't really on that trip. I was more on the conscious revolutionary tip, even the music I used to listen to. But that was my thing. I wanted to get homies. I wanted to get homies from homies that I knew that were on my tip, on my level as far as, certain things. Or homies that I can just, like you know what I mean? We can connect, boom, like this. Homies like that, and get together, and then same thing. Even homies that were blacks, blacks, Africans, whatever you want to call them. Because I know a lot of dudes from everywhere,
right,
from almost every hood in LA. That dudes that I connected with, that I used to chop it up with. You're
having grown folk conversation with.
Yeah, exactly, and to start something, bro. I've talked to Alex about it too. Like to start something, and I talked to Alex. Alex, he actually, bro, that dude, and he laughs. He laughs. I think he kind of knows it, but I don't think he realized that guy has a kind of like it's like a key, bro, like a key to open up certain doors.
Yeah, absolutely.
That other people wouldn't be able to because he has that little. That he has his foot in the door, bro, with a lot of people, a lot of doors, a lot of
different neighborhoods, a lot of different people,
and on both sides, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, like me and you, we've opened up. We're not gonna talk about stuff that we're not supposed to talk about, but we can talk about our life. You know what I mean? We can
our experiences, our hoods, and
it helps people, bro. People, I'm sure you've got a lot of responses from that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, bro. I wanted to do that. That's why when I see your first video with them, I was like, damn, that's what I meant about this dude. Not that you sound like me, like, no, you're on that mindset. I was like, damn, like, that's what I wanted to do. And I know there's other dudes that think like that. I don't know them, but they're out there.
There's a lot of us
and
out
there.
And
this is a place where they can.
And that's what I'm trying to build that, but I'm also trying to make it where it's a forum where we got a voice, homie. Because if you look around YouTube, any podcast, anything like that, there really isn't anything like that where we have a voice, homie. And this is our
Only
voice.
American Cholo and Righteous by Faith.
there you go. So yeah, man. When it comes to stuff like that, I think it's just us not knowing them and them not knowing us, and that's why many fights happen. And when I do bring stuff up like that, I don't do it disrespectfully. I don't do it maliciously. But I will do it to get your attention,
Yeah.
And if these people can't handle it, then maybe they're just not fucking.
Some people won't, but some people will, bro. And if you're out there, holler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. Get at me, man. You want to come on? Get at me. Hey, talking about woke, I wanted to ask you, when was the first notion when you were just like, wait a minute, man, this gang life ain't all it's cracked up to be?
I was just talking to my cuñadito, man, about this. I started to quote unquote wake up Well, I got a rude awakening, man. When my first homie died, and I was young. I was real young. I was barely starting, and I was still in junior high. And it was a rude awakening, bro. Where I woke up and I was like, damn, like this is serious stuff, man. I can lose my life over this. My two homies, bro, Mauricio and Andy, Chico and Termite.
Right.
R.I.P. Man. Those were, they were from my generation growing up, and it hit me, bro. It really hit me hard. Where I realized that it was real, and that could be me. Okay, so fast forward, I didn't learn, but I did. It woke me up to a whole different reality. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So fast forward, that was like 89, 90, somewhere around there. Right around 2000, I believe 2000, I started waking up a little bit. As far as I just started seeing things for what they are, as opposed to what I was brought up to think. You know what I mean?
It was romanticized.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much, it was
Yeah.
romanticized, and like I was telling my cuñadito, it's cool, bro. It's cool when you're all the kicking it and the girls and you know what I mean, getting your smoking your bud and all that. All that is cool, kicking it with the homies. That part of it, it's even fun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there's a whole nother aspect. If you're in that, eventually you're gonna go to jail.
Oh, you got to pay the piper.
Or you can probably die. Someone can walk right up to you, hey, where you from? If you're not gonna rank out, you're gonna tell them where you're from. Boom, they blow your head off and that's it.
Yeah, brother.
You know what I mean? Or your homie does something, you don't have nothing to do with it. Boom, the cops get you. It's been instilled in you not to tell. You're not gonna be a rat. You're gonna go down for something you didn't even do, and you could potentially end up doing life. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big aspect of it. But when I really started to, I guess, become conscious of a lot of stuff, not only within the hood realities, but life in general, the world, government, you know what I'm saying, stuff going on that I really didn't even think about before, was right around 2003 and on. From then on, man, I've always been a bookworm, but I started reading books about everything, bro. And I started like studying like Freemasons, even like Illuminati stuff.
Were you busted in 03?
I was out for the majority of that year, but it started when I was out here.
Right.
And I used to even go to libraries, bro. I used to go to libraries and read. I used to read and I smoked my little bud, you know what I mean? And I used to just read. It was something went on, bro. A switch went on. Boom. Switch went on and I started delving into a lot of these topics. And then I got busted. And even more, I was like, okay, now I got time. Boom. Started ordering all kinds of books. Started having conversations. A lot of these conversations, I had them with blacks.
Right.
A lot, because there's a lot of black conscious dudes, bro.
Okay.
We would talk about everything, bro. Everything.
In the county?
In the county, in prison. Once I went to prison, I started, I would always have this.
When you were talking to the guys in prison, are you talking to them like in the hole or?
No, sometimes in the hole. They're my neighbors.
All right.
Sometimes we're in the yard, bro.
So you guys can conversate in the yard, because sometimes a lot of times you hear you can't.
No, you're not gonna go and kick it in where their workout area's at.
Okay.
But you can kick it off to the side. Hey, you see him right there. What's up? He'll come over to the side and you start chopping it up right there in a little neutral area, right there by the I forget the track. You know what I mean? Once you already know and you already been through all that, you don't have to worry about that, bro. The homies ain't gonna, what's up with that? You know what I mean?
Okay.
You already have that, I guess, respect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That understanding. I'm not over there sharing a bag of chips with them. You know what I mean? Like, we already know certain boundaries we're not gonna cross, but we exchange books.
Oh, that's right.
We talk. You know what I mean? We just build, bro. You grow and you learn,
especially when you're on that higher level of thinking.
Yeah, especially when you're on, because a lot of them are on that trip, and a lot of them, dude, they've been down for years, bro. They're not on that trip. They live there. That's their home.
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
Like you guys are talking about. That's their home, bro. And it's to me, it was a beautiful thing, bro. I loved doing that. Quick little story, bro. I was in Wayside Supermax. I was real close to this dude from Compton. He was a Pyru. I forget his name. I think his name was Black. I forget where he was from, but he was my neighbor. he was a Muslim, bro, and I already had my little kind of Christian roots,
Right.
but we used to talk, bro. I used to ask him a lot of questions, and we're really close, bro. Like pretty close, bro. We used to kick it up there. You been to Supermax?
No, I never.
Oh, at Supermax they have a upstairs, and we used to kick it on the bars, and we'd just be chopping it up, bro. Sometimes for hours, and it kicked off in there, bro. We were outnumbered. There was about 15 homies, and the rest were all black. This was I had bronchitis, so they put me in that dorm. It was an 800 back then in the medical. It was kind of medical,
Right.
and there was a lot of blacks back then in the medical dorms. There wasn't that many homies because it was kind of like a no-no. Unless you had to be there, it was kind of like a no-no. You shouldn't be there. I was there. I had to be there because I had bronchitis when I got busted. So it kicked off, bro. It kicked off, and not all the homies jumped. There was like six of us, bro. That I guess like 30-some blacks. You know what I mean? And I remember where, you know what I mean? It's battle time. And me and him, we faced off, bro. He was bigger, bro. I was smaller, and it was a trip, bro. I'll never forget it. We looked at each other, and we just went separate ways. You know what I mean? It was a trip, bro. It's a trip, cause you have that aspect in there. You have that little what do you call that? That element that, you know, there's, you know, you have that little connection, but at the same time.
Yeah, you're still at war right now.
Still at war, bro, and anything could happen at any time, man.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. But yeah, and I mean, luckily you guys were in a situation where you can actually go your separate way. Because imagine if you were in prison where you guys have to stab each other or some crazy shit like that. And it's something like you guys would probably end up doing it. And being the hole next to each other talking about
crazy.
Talking about it later on.
Oh, trip out. We seen it. Matter of fact, it's same story. I went to the hole.
Right.
Ended up back in 700. Now we're not in the medical no more. Boom. We end up in the same dorm, bro. And check this out. It was gonna kick off in there, bro. And because of the connection that me and him had,
right,
we were able to
talk it down,
cease fire.
That's
right.
I mean? That's right.
And so, you know, it has its good things, bro. But yeah, man. There's something that I want to mention. Okay. In 2008, going back to the question you asked me,
yes,
I got busted for the murder case.
Right.
That time is when I started waking up to the things of the Lord. I really started. I knew there was a God. I knew all that. But I wanted to know for myself what was real and what wasn't. And I wanted to know about the Word of God, bro. And I was in my cell most of that time, those 5 years, isolated pretty much by myself.
Right.
In a one-man cell. That's where I started waking up to the things of God. That's where I believe the Lord really. I asked God straight up, like I'm talking to you right now. Like, Lord, I know you're real, but show me you're real. Show me the God of the Bible is real. Show me that you're the truth. And He started showing me, because before I used to read the Bible, I could not understand nothing. I didn't even and I just you know,
right. Of
give me a book. You know what I mean? And that time I really started. He started showing me, bro, that He's real. You know, and that's when I started waking up. And I started putting both together, bro. Kind of merging what I already knew.
Right.
Along with the spiritual aspect of it and the eternal aspect of it. And trying to merge the two. Because I used to have these dreams where I told you that I wanted to do something. But then I was like, I seen a whole nother aspect of it where I was like, man. Because we can go and be successful in life. We can go and build, you know what I mean, all kinds of stuff and be successful as far as financially wise and all that. But if at the end of the road, we have to face judgment. We're gonna face a trial, and we're gonna be alone. It's gonna be a one-man, no jury, and this is real. If it's really real, and we have to face that, that's a serious thing. And we can be successful in this life, but if we're not right with God, we don't have, you know, we're not forgiven for our sins, we're none of that, then it was all for nothing. Really, not for nothing, But for you, for the soul of the person, if there is an afterlife, I know there is an afterlife based on what I've studied, but I'm saying people don't believe. If it's real,
Oh, no, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I don't.
Yeah.
I can't really sit there and say that I 100% believe there's an afterlife. I believe there's a higher power. I believe that definitely if there is an afterlife, there'll be some kind of judgment.
Well, that's how I started. And that's when I really wanted to know. Like, well, hold on, because the Bible, that's where it talks about it and it tells you. It tells you stories about different people and stuff. But not to
Right. So
go off into that, but just that's when I really started. I was like, man, because any one of us, like when you're growing up in that gang life. Even then, I have homies that they've told me like, man, they've even prayed before doing something. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. You know what I mean?
it's like the Godfather movie where they're at the church and before he's doing all the hits and everything else. It's I don't know if it's hypocritical of us, but we as
I mean it is. It kind of is. Yeah.
We kind of do that. We're fucking. You're with the homies. You're driving by the iglesia.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing this. You got a strap. And
it's like what?
You're doing that. But the one thing that I can't say that and I would tell to young guys that want to live that gang life, that want to be with the homies and all that. Dude, you can live that lifestyle. And I'm talking about the good part of it and not be a gang member. That's the difference nowadays. Nowadays, you can go out and party. You could be with some girls. You want to maybe take a talk. I'm not saying go ahead and do it, but you're gonna, they're young kids. This is what you do, right? You can go and party with all your friends. You can do all that nowadays, and you don't gotta be a gang member. Back then, there was so many gang members that you actually had to be a gang member because you had to pick a side. I'm
laughing, bro, because we're just sitting there eating our little burgers before we got here.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, I have my my little brother-in-law, my cuñado, with me. And I was having this talk with him. He's 14 years old. And,
right.
And I was telling him that I reached a point in my life where I remember there was like a crowd of like 10 of my little homies.
Right.
And they weren't off from the hood. They were backing up the hood. And I used to have these conversations with them. And I used to tell them, are all of you guys ready to die? I used to straight out just ask them, are you ready to die? Like if it was your time to die today, are you ready for that? And then I used to also ask them, or on the other note, are you ready to potentially end up doing life in jail, like spend the rest of your life inside of a cell? Are you prepared to do that? And they used to trip out, bro, and I used to hit them with that, bro, because that's reality.
That is reality.
That's reality, straight up, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't hear that when I was growing up. I didn't hear none of that stuff, bro. The only thing I heard, and I'll tell you right now, one of my homies just passed away. My homie Stilo, rest in peace, man. He died in a car accident like last 2 weeks ago.
Right. I
remember him, bro, trying to ask me questions like that. He was like the only one, bro. But aside from him, I never heard that, bro. So once I was already, I guess, woke or kind of seeing what it is, I would ask these guys that, bro, and I would tell them, this is why I was laughing, because I would tell them exactly what you just said. I would tell them, guys, if you're not ready for that, if you know you probably can't handle that, it's okay. Absolutely. You can still be my friend. You could still be my homie. We can still smoke bud together, and that's when you know what I mean.
Well, I think it's the allure of the gang, and then it's also the peer pressure of everybody around you, and then your own peer pressure. Because what you think, and one thing with me, I still remember being very young. It's very easy for me. Like sometimes my wife be like, hey, there's still gangs. Hey, there's still this. I'm like, babe, only because we are not doing it. It hasn't stopped, you know? Mm-hmm. And like certain music I can listen to because somehow, some way I still got a young ear. And I still remember very clearly when I was a young kid, I didn't know really what I wanted. Even as a grown man, sometimes we don't know what we want, right? So as a young kid, I wanted to be a part of something. I personally came from a very dysfunctional family, My mom was a dope dealer. My dad was dead. My stepdad was a dope dealer. There was really no love, and it was acceptance. You think you're joining. You don't have a football team. You don't have a soccer team. You're not in a baseball team. You're not into sports. I think a lot of times we have a little bit of low self-esteem in ourselves. Don't know what we want, and we got this one thing that's called the neighborhood, and we think, "Fuck, we're part of something big, man. We're in the army. We're in this and that." But one thing, the streets, to your mom, to your dad, to your loved ones, you may be special as fuck. You may be the most special kid in the world, but to the streets, you ain't shit. The streets will eat you up, huh?